Here's a video on replacing the thermal pane unit inside the sash. You can see this water markings are not on the outside or inside, they're between. Moisture has gotten in there, and there's actually a desiccant that's in this metal frame here that tries to suck up some of it, but it's overwhelmed it. So to get this window out, of course I'm going to take the bottom one out first, and then we'll take the top sash out and we'll replace this. I'll show you how to take this rubber seal off. We'll take the frame apart, take the rubber seal off, and get that all together. Some of the tools we'll need is this. We've changed our glass distributor to Chicago tempered. They tend to put a little bit too much double insulation on here, and you'll need to trim this off to get a nice flat surface. You can see I've trimmed it off, especially around the edge. You want to get this nice and smooth around the edge. So when you put the frame down on it, then you don't want bumps. That'll mess with your frame. It won't go on evenly, and you'll be problematic. You'll be in trouble. It comes with a sticker saying Chicago tempered, and then a bunch of these little bumper pads you got to take off and clean. So that's what this guy's for. This is for prying apart the frame. I'll show you that next video. It's just good to have an extra screwdriver available. These you may need, you may not need. Don't worry about that. You might need this to readjust your pivot shoes if you have to. And here's some pivot shoes in case those need to be replaced, but that's on a different video. And this is for cleaning the window, as well as this. A lot of uses, you'll see. I'm gonna use this a lot. We're gonna go through this a lot. Towels, and then Windex to clean everything up. Your hands are gonna get very dirty when you do this. This is a standard large window, so its dimensions are gonna be 35 by 33 and a half. And when it's sitting on this cart, you want the 35 to be there. And I'll show you why that is later. This is a modified drywall cart. Just put 1 inch insulation on this so you can move your glass around without damaging it, having it sitting on the metal, because it'll pinch right there and it'll snap that and you'll be in trouble. You also need this piece of cardboard so you don't damage your wall. You won't be in a position where you're marring or damaging your wall. So you need something like this in the apartment. A lot easier when it's vacant like this. You might need to do it in the hallway if that's the case. The work I'm going to do here, you might need to do in the hallway or somewhere else. So we're going to pull this. It's raining, but it's coming straight down, so we're going to be okay. All right, so I will show you that in the next video. All right, so I'm going to pull this bottom sash out just to get it out of the way. It's already been redone with ultralifts and new pivot shoes, which is really nice. I'm just going to set it aside. And then I'm going to bring this window down. Do the same thing. Now when you bring these windows down, you might have a pivot shoe that's going to create problems for you. That's why you need the pivot shoes. Alright, before I pull that out, my first use of the silicone spray, I like to spray the top of the pivot shoe just to minimize the amount of torque I'm going to put on the frame. Pull that out. See if that's already kind of difficult there. Alright, so this is the glass we're going to take apart and redo. I'm going to set it on my cardboard. I'll turn this around. Alright. The tools I didn't have in the early introduction is this. It's a 12-volt Bosch. If you use the Makita version, you'll most likely be snapping the screw heads off. You don't want to do that, except in rare occasions, you may want to snap it off. And I'll hopefully not have to deal with that right now. Yeah, maybe I will. to take this off so I don't damage it. All right, this one I'm not going to take out all the way. I will take out, no. Sorry, the bottom is what I don't want to take out all the way. Yeah, see, that's creating problems for me. I might have to chisel that out. This is the one I want to take out all the way. And we'll see, if I can get 3 of the 4 out, I might be able to do it without a problem. I set my screws where I remember where they are. And I turn the frame like this so I can get better control and not strip the head out. I make sure that's in there, and I make sure that I use a fresh bit on this because you don't want to strip the head out. Yeah, and this one's stripping out too. I'm on a lower floor, so it doesn't like the salt spray creates problems for me. Yep, and it just sheared my bit, so this guy's in there really good. I hope I don't have to chisel too many of these out. It's good to have more than one bit. Let's see if I can get the other one out. This one might be a nice problem child. I'm going to go try and tighten just a little bit. And I got this one out. So, I'm actually in a really interesting situation because I've got two. I've got 2 that are problem children. Just make sure I'm recording still. All right, I'm gonna stop the video and just restart it so I don't lose the video. All right, I've restarted. So I can get this guy out. Let's see if I can't pull off a miracle with these, and then maybe I can come and chisel that out. So, make sure this is the one. Nope, that one still has a screw in it, so this is the one I'm gonna start taking off first. I'm not going to use too much pressure on this, and you don't want to use too much pressure on this because you don't want to bend this channel. Alright, this is a little bit of a problem because I still have the screw there. So if you put too much pressure on this, you're going to end up bending this channel. You'll have to take it downstairs and go straight. Seeing if I can separate this to a certain degree, and I actually can on this one, and then I can also separate the other guy that I actually got out. Let's see if I can't remove it from there. On the upper floors, you won't have this problem, hopefully. But this happens. Okay, this one like separated. That's good. So I got a little bit of separation, a little bit of separation. Let's see if I can't work this guy off. Of course, I might want to go ahead and begin to move this channel that way off this, which is what I think I'll do. So, I'm going to find a hammer and a little piece of wood. Let me see if I'm in the frame. Good. I'm going to try and begin to move this whole piece. Try and begin to move this whole piece that way. Tightening me a little bit. Go for some separation. I try not to break these panes when I'm taking it out. I try to be a little careful on this as best I possibly can. because you never know if the new glass is a good fit. I know this glass is a good fit because I've replaced 4 or 5 of these already. I'm putting my chisel in here and I'm putting it on the double insulation part, not on the glass. Just to begin the separation, so I don't end up breaking the glass. So I do not want to do that. And again, I'm not going to put a great deal of pressure on here. Whoop. This is really giving me a go. This is a good video because I'll show you what can go wrong. Alright, great. I'm starting to get separation. Perfect. Perfect. That's good. I can't move that. A little bit to the side. I already have a little bit of separation on this guy. I'm moving up. See? And I can hopefully separate that. That was really, really fortunate. So I think we're going to be okay here. Let me show you if I get some good light. Where'd my, there it is, sitting right in front of me. That's the screw I'm going to go ahead and chisel out of the channel. I can get that to separate out of that channel. See how it's rusted in there. And I'll be able to get this guy off the same way. It's very fortunate. Otherwise I have to chisel it off in the channel, which would mean putting a chisel on the screw. Where'd my screw go? Oh, the screw is on the bottom. So I'd have to try and chisel the channel, the screw out of the channel. I'm going to damage the channel a little bit, but I'll put in longer screws and we'll be good. So, let me see if I can separate that and I'll show you in the next video. I'm going to use my cart as a blocking. It's going to block it in this direction and see if I can. Just hit the head. You don't want to go into, you don't want to go at this angle, you want to go as much to that angle as possible. Otherwise you'll damage the channel, and that's not a good thing. Alright, I'm getting some separation there. Let me check, yep, that's working. Show you what we're finding here. Get in there. See, it's starting to separate out of the channel. And I'm just going to go ahead, see if I can't just pry the rest of that out without damaging as many things as possible. I might even try and unscrew this now that I've got a little better. Yep. Beautiful. So just to show you, that's damaged, but that's okay. I'm going to put longer screws in there and I'll show you. I'll separate the other frame and do the exact same thing. I can bend that channel back together just a little bit. This is my tool of choice. It's just a flat plier. You can try and get channel locks in here, but this is a really nice tool to have when you're working on these windows. So I'm putting the channel together. I just wanted to show you that I'm shooting for that right there. It's just an easy way to do it. You can try and assemble everything and you can look through the hole and see that you're in the channel. But this is just a nice quick way. doing it. I'll be able to do it with 2 hands. Right, and that'll go right back together just like that. I'm not going to screw it all the way together, and I'll show you why in just a second. I'll show you how to take the rubber seal off. First, I want to bring your attention to this little indentation right here. And that's going to go back in where the window lock is. And we're going to line that back up with that when we push it back into the channel. That way you don't have to recut that. But if you have to either replace this rubber seal, you may be fighting with that. You may have to take this off completely from the window and put it back in. You might have to do that anyway in some certain locations where it's really tight. Don't feel bad about doing that. Just be really careful. Your screwdriver's right next to the glass when you do that. So, I'm going to peel this back really carefully, especially around the edges. I'll be peeling it from both sides. Don't yank on this because it's just attached with the 2 little points. So pull from here. This one doesn't have a lot of goop on it. That's fine. I'll take it. Again, be very gentle. Yeah, from both sides. All right, now this is off. Forward to the wise, there's still goop on here. So I'm going to take this out, put it somewhere where I'm not spreading that goop on somebody's floor or their carpet or something else. I'm just going to get it out of here and then show you how to put the other one back on. Alright, this is how to put the rubber seal back on. And again, I have the long dimension on this part right now, which should match this long dimension. If it doesn't, either you've got the wrong window unit or it's rotated. Because this is 35, that's 33.5. This is a standard large window, and I'm just going to put it on. Be really careful on the sides, and just note, I'll show you a little later, right here is where the window lock went. So I'm going to I will make sure to know where this is when I drop it back in the frame. I'll bring this down on both sides. Always nice when your car rotates a little bit. I'll just set this one in, straighten it out later. And just always being careful around these edges because it's just attached with 2 little points. Okay, I'll make sure this guy's in. There's always a little gap right here. Don't worry about it. It goes on the top. It won't be an issue. And so, just to show you, that little indentation is right there in the back. I'm going to set my frame up to receive the glass. I haven't screwed the sides in. You can do it piecemeal. That's totally fine. Sometimes you have to if it's really tight. But this is a quick and fast way to do this. And I've already sprayed this channel with silicone. And that's a good thing to do. And especially where this little lock, where the little lock guy is. It's always good not to, get too much silicone spray on the floor. If you do, be sure to wipe it up. Tenant's not going to be happy with that. Have a slippery spot in there. So that's sitting at an angle on the wall. I'm going to match that angle and drop it in place. Takes a little bit of coordination. I'm also going to make sure a little also going to make sure that my ends match up with the bottom as well. Let me just make sure I'm actually showing the bottom here. So that's the most important part. If I can get that in, everything else is fine. So I'm at the same angle, dropping it in. Window lock piece is fighting me a little bit. It's going all right, I'm going to let it. And I'm just going to bring these two ends in. I'm not going to try and put it in yet. All right, so it's pretty lined up. And I'm not going to force it down. I'll show you how to get that down. It's almost lined up. And I'll show you just how to get that last little piece very gently. I'm going to let the weight of the sash work in my favor, and I got silicone working in my favor. Check. And it looks like that's actually done it. Do that a couple more times. And we're good to go. See how that's gotten behind the window lock and it's worked its way in there. Sides are lined up. This side's a little, but that's okay, it's a big gap there. It's gonna pull itself in. You can also rotate this window. If I wanted to move the glass that way, I could rotate the window and drop it down a few times and just gently move it in place. I'll put the top sash in, the top of the sash in. This one doesn't have any decorative pieces. I'll show you about that. Well, I don't know if I have a video of that. I'm going to match the weather stripping with the weather stripping here. You can't really put this in backwards, it won't let you. So I'm just going to, again, line up. I'm going to look at the sides. I'm not going to worry about looking at the sides of the glass. I'll line it up with where it needs to be on the glass. I don't care about the sides. It's going over the glass about 1/8 of an inch on both sides. And when we bring everything in, it's going to be just fine. Then I'll screw that together. A few quick things on the screws. Right there is the original screw. Some of these I had to chisel out. I will replace this with this little longer screw here. We had a little intermediary, it's probably 1/4 inch longer than that. That's really what we need. And if you really are in trouble, that's what this really long screw is for. Now see the heel on this, these are stainless steel. You don't want to be putting the galvanized ones in. It's going to create nothing but problems for you. So I'm going to put that in that hole, and you can see the channel. It needs to go down just a little bit, and then you're right there. All right, so I'll lock these two in, and then we'll put it back in the window. Now, before I put it in, I just make sure that the pivot shoes haven't moved. This one's a little higher than this one, and that's what I want. I'll spray that again with silicone, make sure I can move easily when I get it in. Now I've replaced this guy with an Ultralift right here, and the reason being is that nice scratch right there is caused by the top of that pivot shoe breaking. I'm not too concerned about that one because it just stays up all the time. I replaced this guy too, so as well. All right, so let me throw my window. You make sure that the pivot bars are in good condition, locked in place, sticking out far enough. There's a little line there that you can see. That's pretty self-evident. I'll leave that to you. have to think twice about putting these in. Let me just make sure I'm still in frame. I am. All right. Do what I say I do. If perchance one of these moves and you have problems moving it, you can take a drywall screw, a number 6 drywall screw, and you can screw up behind it and lock it in place if you have to. That is an option. Just a little bit, just enough tension to get it to stop moving, and then you can unscrew it. I'll just act as its brake. All right. Yeah. These pretty close to level. Once you lift up, the lock on the pivot shoe disengages. If your springs are broken or they're not in place, this will just drop right down. So always be careful when you do this. When you put it back in, make sure your locks are engaged, both sides, not just one. Put it up in place. It helps if you make sure your pivot shoes are in the right position to receive the pivot bars before you grab the window. Now we just replaced the glass, and it's a little heavier pane, so we're going to have to adjust. Say it's dropping down, we're going to have to adjust the weight of the balance rod. See if your lift's probably the wrong size. I think it's 27 pounds. The new glass is a couple pounds heavier, and you might encounter a window when you change the pivot shoe and the balance spring, and it might just drop down, or it might ride up, and that's because these weights are not all the same. Let me go ahead and push this in a little bit, certain locations, just make it look nice. We can be professional. All right, that looks really good. And that's it, we're done. I just need to clean up, make a neatness. And we'll go from there. Just reiterate, make sure that both these are locked in place. You don't want this falling out like a wind gust or something, or something else, or when the tenant opens it. All right, so that's how to replace the thermal pane within these units with a couple problems. I've actually seen worse. Take your time. These channels are irreplaceable. So take your time, you don't want to damage them. We have a couple channels, longer like side pieces that we may be able to cut down. I haven't had to do that yet, maybe an option, but take your time. And it's not a bad thing if a couple of these snap off and you have other things to do, balance your priorities. Put the window back in, lock it in place, put a note on it, go do your other things. If you got a toilet or something else more important, come back when you have more time. These windows, especially on the lower floors, could take 30 minutes, it could take 2 hours. With that, good luck.